You know that feeling when you snag a budget, mirrorless camera online, only to discover a dozen compromises once you finally try to shoot in real life? The autofocus lags, the low-light images are grainy, and you end up spending even more on accessories to make it usable. I've been there, and I've also watched too many friends regret those cheap shortcuts. That's why today I'm looking at a camera that's marketed as a serious step up. The Fujifilm X-T5 with the XF1650mm f/2.84.8 lens. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first held the X-T5, the first thing that struck me was how familiar the layout felt compared with older Fujifilm bodies I've used. The classic dials for shutter speed, ISO, and exposure compensation are still there, but the electronic viewfinder feels faster, and the rear screen tilts enough to let you shoot from low angles without a tripod. That matters because many beginners assume a mirrorless camera is all about the sensor and forget the ergonomics that actually let you capture a moment without fumbling. In the real world, those small design choices translate to less time adjusting settings and more time framing the shot. Now, let's talk about the sensor. The X-T5 boasts a 40.2-megapixel APS-C X-Trans CMOS 5H sensor, which sounds impressive on paper, but what does it mean for everyday shooting? In daylight, the extra resolution gives you the ability to pull fine detail out of foliage, fabric texture, or street signage without resorting to heavy cropping later. I tested it on a sunny market street, and the JPEGs already looked crisp enough to print at 1,620 inches. The real test, however, is low-light performance. Fujifilm claims enhanced low-light capability, and I found that true when I photographed a dimly lit jazz club. The ISO could be pushed to 6,400 with noise still under control, and the colors retain that Fujifilm signature film look without a lot of post-processing. For hobbyists who like to shoot events, concerts, or evening cityscapes, that flexibility is a genuine strength. Autofocus is another area where the X-T5 tries to differentiate itself. The camera uses a hybrid AF system that combines phase-detect pixels with contrast detection, and it's designed to be intelligent. In practice, the focus lock on moving subjects, like a cyclist passing by or a child running across a park, was reliable after a couple of seconds of hunting. I noticed that the AF tracks subjects better when the lighting is consistent, but it can slip a bit in very low-contrast scenes, like a plain gray wall. If you're planning to shoot a lot of wildlife or fast-action sports, you might want to consider a dedicated high-speed AF lens, but for most street and travel work, the built-in system feels confident enough. Stabilization is something many mirrorless cameras tout, and the X-T5 includes in-body image stabilization, IBIS, that works in conjunction with the XF1650mm lens. In my tests, I could handhold the camera at around 1/30th second shutter speed without noticeable blur, even at f/4.8 at the long end of the zoom. That's a practical benefit for anyone who doesn't want to carry a gimbal for casual video or stills. However, the lens itself is not the fastest. The aperture narrows as you zoom, which means you'll lose a stop of light at the telephoto end compared with a constant f/2.8 zoom. For low-light video work, you might still need external lighting or a brighter prime lens. Speaking of lenses, the X-mount ecosystem is a mixed bag for newcomers. Fujifilm offers a rich catalog of prime lenses that deliver outstanding sharpness and color rendition, but many of those lenses are priced in the premium range. The included 1,650mm kit lens is versatile for everyday shooting, covering wide-angle landscapes to modest portrait focal lengths, and it's weather-sealed, which is a nice touch if you often shoot outdoors. If you're a hobbyist who wants to experiment without buying a bunch of glass, the kit lens covers most bases. On the flip side, if you're a professional looking to build a serious kit, you'll quickly need to invest in faster primes or specialty lenses, which adds to the overall cost. Menu navigation on Fujifilm bodies can be a love-or-hate topic. The X-T5 keeps the classic film simulation menu front and center, which is great if you love the nostalgic looks, but diving deeper into custom settings does involve scrolling through several layers. I found the touchscreen helpful for quickly changing exposure compensation, but for someone who prefers a fully tactile experience, you'll still end up turning the dials. That learning curve isn't a deal breaker for most, but it's worth mentioning if you're used to a completely menu-driven workflow like on some Sony models. Battery life is often an afterthought, yet it becomes critical when you're out shooting all day. The X-T5 uses Fujifilm's NPW126 battery, which the manufacturer rates for roughly 600 shots per charge. In my field test, a full day of street photography with intermittent video clips, I got close to 550 shots before needing a recharge. The camera also supports USB-C power delivery, so you can keep shooting while the